and thank you for joining us. I'm David Ledford. First, an Oakland woman was arrested Friday in connection with the death of an infant over a year ago. According to the Maine State Police, 54-year-old Lisa Barney was charged with manslaughter. Police say the arrest stems from a year-long investigation into the death of a 4-month-old infant on September 8, 2023. The incident occurred in Oakland on August 31, 2023, and the death was later ruled a homicide, following an autopsy on September 8, 2023. Barney was indicted on Thursday by the Kennebec County Grand Jury. She was taken to the Kennebec County Jail and bail was set at $100,000. An Albion man is dead following a crash Friday night. Maine State Police say troopers responded to a report of a motor vehicle crash on the East Benton Road at approximately 7:41 p.m. Police say 53-year-old James McGarry was heading southbound when the Dodge pickup he was driving left the roadway and struck a rock. Police say life-saving measures were attempted, but McGarry ultimately succumbed to his injuries. The crash remains under investigation. And a Waterville man is facing murder charges following a shooting in February. Maine State Police say detectives arrested 20-year-old Tyler Quirion Friday and charged him with murder, manslaughter, and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. Police say the arrest stems from a February 19th shooting on Grove Street. Police say 22-year-old Justin Iarola died as a result of the shooting. An autopsy ruled the death a homicide. Quirion was taken to the Kennebec County Jail and is being held without bail. And Maine gun safety advocates are launching a new campaign, and if they succeed, then next November, voters could decide whether to implement a red flag law. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke with the executive director leading that charge to learn more.
The Safe Schools, Safe Communities initiative will save lives.
Nicole Palmer is the executive director of the Maine Gun Safety Coalition, the group working towards a citizens' referendum to help create a red flag law, otherwise known as an extreme risk protection order here in Maine. Palmer says the Lewiston Commission's report highlighted the failures of Maine's current yellow flag law.
Extreme risk protection orders will allow both families and law enforcement to petition the court to temporarily restrict someone's access to dangerous weapons while they're in crisis. And we're doing this because family members are usually the first to know when their loved one is in crisis.
Last legislative session, Palmer and other advocates failed to get a proposed red flag law over the finish line, so they're trying to bring the vote to the people.
The ballot initiative is about giving Maine peoples the opportunity to make sure that their voices are heard on this issue. And we know that the vast majority of Mainers want for family members to be able to initiate the extreme risk protection order process. The way that we are going to go about this is by having volunteers. We're hoping to have 500 volunteers actually on election day collecting signatures at the polls.
Palmer and her volunteers will need to gather 75,000 signatures in order to qualify for next year's ballot in November 2025. Palmer knows this will likely face pushback from both in-state and out-of-state opponents.
The gun lobby has already spent considerable money here in the state of Maine trying to prevent the passage of responsible gun safety legislation. I'm sure that this will be no different, but I think there's a difference now in that the people of Maine understand the stakes and are deeply invested in making sure that that our communities are safe.
In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news, an arrest has been made and authorities say there is no risk to the public following an incident in Plymouth Friday. The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office says that authorities were managing a critical incident on the Clark Road in Plymouth that involved the road being blocked and led to a shelter-in-place order for neighbors. One home in the immediate vicinity was evacuated. Just before 1 a.m. Saturday, the shelter-in-place order was lifted. Authorities say there is no risk to the public, and along with the arrest, authorities say the incident concluded with a yellow flag process. In other news, a Bangor man found guilty of sexually abusing a child will spend decades behind bars and under supervision. That's the decision handed down Friday in Penobscot County Court. 48-year-old Aaron Robshaw was sentenced to 20 years in prison, followed by 20 years of supervised release for sexually abusing a female child on multiple occasions between 2018 and 2019. The child was 9 years old when the incidents began, and she is now 16. The judge said Robshaw's criminal record was a substantial aggravating factor in his sentencing, as was the effect of the abuse on the victim.
And I'm satisfied that 20 years, which is a very severe baseline sentence, is only 5 years less than the mandatory minimum for murder. I'm satisfied that that is adequate to express how bad this offense was, or these offenses.
The goal is, always has been and always will be, to protect children. And if that means incarcerating an individual for a long period of time when a jury has found that they've victimized children, then that's what we're going to try to do.
Rucci says the lengthy period of supervised release following incarceration also spoke to the severity of the crime and the shared belief that Robshaw is a dangerous predator. And 4 people have been arrested on drug trafficking charges following a traffic stop Saturday night. According to the Maine State Police, a trooper stopped 35-year-old Daniel Pallas of Dresden on Route 201 in Fairfield for inoperable taillights just before midnight. The trooper reportedly recognized the driver and passenger 30-year-old Maria Jackson of Richmond as 2 individuals who fought with a Maine State trooper in August following an attempted arrest of Jackson as a result of a drug investigation. Pallas and Jackson were both arrested. 2 other passengers were also arrested, 35-year-old Paul Duplin of Whitefield and 38-year-old David Lavasser of Lisbon. All are facing aggravated drug trafficking charges and other charges. In other news, an Auburn man was arrested Saturday after reportedly causing tens of thousands of dollars in damage to vehicles at a car dealership. According to the Auburn Police Department, police responded to 699 Center Street to find 25-year-old Skylar Henson swinging a weighted backpack, smashing the windows and hoods of multiple vehicles in the car lot. Police say Henson acted alone and was immediately detained. Police say an initial investigation indicates that Henson caused $80,000 to $90,000 in damage to 75 different vehicles. Henson was taken to the Androscoggin County Jail, where he is being held on a $5,000 cash bail. He is currently charged with aggravated criminal mischief. And a fire broke out at a business storefront in Brewer this evening, but was quickly extinguished. It happened around 5 p.m. at 46 Center Street, which houses Brewer Nutrition Cafe, Caked Up Desserts Shop, and Perfect Coats Pet Grooming. According to the Brewer Fire Department, damage was limited to the exterior with no interior damage and no injuries. An off-duty firefighter jumped into action and helped knock down the flames before Brewer Fire arrived.
We showed up, there was no fire, there's an off-duty Brunswick firefighter happened along and hit the outside of it with the fire extinguisher, and then we just cleaned it up after that.
Employees from Brewer Nutrition say they didn't even know about the fire until someone walking by came in and told them.
She came in and she got everybody out, and then we all just ran outside to see the building up in flames. There was no smoke in there. I didn't smell anything. I wouldn't have known if she didn't tell me.
The Brewer Fire Department says the cause was likely accidental. And in other news, a recall has been issued for eggs from Rainbow Farm in Orland following a salmonella outbreak. The Maine CDC has identified the consumption of these eggs as the source of the outbreak. At least 5 people have fallen ill and tested positive for salmonella after eating eggs from the farm. The Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry is working closely with Rainbow Farm to address the issue. The eggs were distributed by the farm itself as well as the farmers markets in Bar Harbor, Blue Hill, Northeast Harbor, Stonington, and Farm Drop. Anyone who still has eggs are advised to dispose of them or return them where they were purchased for a full refund. And a man pleaded guilty on Tuesday to burning the body of a man who was shot to death more than 2 months ago. Court documents show Mark Gagney of Cushing will testify against Jason Hewitt, who is accused of killing Kyle McDougal of Waldoboro back in early July. Gagney was the first person arrested in connection to McDougal's July 7th death. According to court documents from the Knox County Superior Court, Gagney was released from jail on personal recognizance bail in exchange for his plea. There is no date scheduled at this time for his next appearance in court. Gagney pleaded guilty on Tuesday to a felony charge of hindering apprehension and a misdemeanor charge of abuse of a corpse. And the Penobscot County 911 Center is the busiest in the state, and right now they're only operating with about 2/3 of a full staff. Our Callie Warren spoke with a dispatcher about how they're managing the shortage.
911, what is the address of the emergency?
Dispatchers are the very first point of contact in an emergency, and they play a vital role in ensuring prompt action by first responders. In Penobscot County, the Regional Communications Center is in charge of corresponding with 65 departments.
We dispatch for 65 agencies across Penobscot County, Hancock, and Aroostook counties.
And they're the busiest dispatch center in the state, with 70,000 calls answered yearly and a coverage area dispatchers say is the size of Rhode Island. But they're operating with about 2/3 of a full staff, a shortage that is adding to the collective workload.
So currently we're at 19 dispatchers out of the 31 that are available. So we're short-staffed, yes, but with overtime opportunities, we're able to keep it going. So we are running slightly short on most of our crews, but we're making it work.
McCarthy says the staffing shortage is not impacting service for emergencies.
Yeah, we're not redirecting calls. We're still answering all the calls that we're supposed to be.
And local first responders say dispatchers are doing their best to fill in the gaps.
There's an emergency call of any severity. We are notified of that promptly. They get us out the door.
McCarthy says it's a rewarding career.
That is similar to a firehouse or at a police department. It's kind of a sisterhood, brotherhood kind of thing.
If you're interested in a dispatch position, visit our website at foxbangor.com for more information. In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And now let's turn things over to Chase Ropenack with our first look outside.
Thank you. Taking a look at the radar right now. Still got some cloud cover over the state, but not as bad as it's been the past few days. Here is our next system that's going to be making its way into our area by Wednesday night going into Thursday, bringing lots of rain and cooler temperatures into the state. And we can still see some cooler temperatures out there as well. Got up into those upper 60s today in Bangor, saw mid to upper 60s all across the state. We did see Augusta hit right around 70 degrees for their high today. Other than that, everywhere else right around those mid to upper 60s. We saw 65 in Presque Isle, 68 in Holton as well. Taking a look overnight tonight, still going to deal with some partly cloudy skies, and then we'll see those lows get up into those upper 40s for tonight.
Chase, still to come on Fox 22 News at 10. Hundreds hit the Bangor waterfront this weekend to walk for a cause. We'll take you there. And an issue raising health concerns for some in Camden. Those stories and more local news when we come back.
I'm a Republican.
I'm a Republican.
A Maine Republican.
Not one of those Washington Republicans like Mike Johnson.
They want to slash Social Security and Medicare.
And raise the retirement age to 70.
They handpicked Austin Theriault to run for Congress.
And they'll control him in Washington.
But Jared Golden works for us.
Jared will stand up to both parties to protect Maine seniors.
We can trust Jared. He fights for us.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
With Chevy trucks, be ready for adventure. With power you can count on. Capability that doesn't compromise. A hard-working EV with more range than any competitor and the potential to take you anywhere.
Current qualified lessees can get this 2024 Silverado for around $389 a month. Or current Chevy owners can get $6,500 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Grab a cup, fill it up, top it off, weigh it up. Here at Sweet Frog, you are in total control. Sweet Frog, where our secret ingredient is fun.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Mainers have been setting lobster traps for generations. But less than 2 years ago, they were this close to going out of business because of new regulations from Washington. Then Jared Golden stood up to Joe Biden and his own party to protect our way of life. Today, we are still fishing thanks to Jared. Some say Jared's gone Washington. It's true. He's gone there to tell the DC elites not to mess with us.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
126, first on the scene.
Pouring gas.
Dispatch, we have a problem.
911 Lone Star season premiere this Monday on Fox.
This is more than just a job.
We save people.
Go!
This is the most dangerous beach in the world. We have to do it together. All of us.
Good thing we're not in it for the glory.
Rescue High Surf, September 22nd on Fox.
Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. On a street less than a mile away from downtown Camden, residents are dealing with major health and safety concerns over a rat infestation. According to residents we spoke with, the rat infestation developed due to a man who lives on Chestnut Hill Street throwing birdseed on his roof. They say what started with just birds being attracted to the seeds then led to rats, and residents say measures have been taken to try and stop him going back as far as 2018. We tried to speak with town officials about what steps are being taken, and we were referred to Camden's fire chief, who was not available for comment. In other news, hundreds walked in Bangor on Saturday to honor loved ones lost to suicide and those battling mental health issues. Our Callie Warren takes us to the annual Out of the Darkness walk.
It's okay to not be okay. Mental health is a huge issue.
To honor Suicide Prevention Month, over 400 individuals came together at the Bangor waterfront on Saturday, walking to prevent suicide and raising almost $30,000 for prevention and awareness efforts.
When we saw the crowd of 400 plus people walk out and onto the main street, talking about suicide prevention, marching it for people that they love, marching for people that they love who are currently struggling. It's just such a beautiful event.
Instead of a traditional finish line, participants walked over dozens of stars with handwritten messages to lost loved ones.
Really touching to see everybody and hear their stories and just know that, we're not alone.
Serving as a reminder that every single participant has their own story.
Today we are walking in the Out of the Darkness walk in honor of my dad, Jim Ellis, and my husband, Tristan Maniscalco. It's nice to be with people who understand what you're going through and seeing the support that it provides.
Those who took part in the event say it encourages other people to reach out when they need help.
I also have had similar struggles due to postpartum depression. So the reason why I'm here is I just want people to know that the stigma, there shouldn't be a stigma. It's okay that you're not okay. It's okay to ask for help.
To reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, call or text 988. For more resources for those impacted by suicide, visit our website at foxbangor.com.
So often, folks who do choose to take their own life believe it's the only option, and there's so many more options. Life is so beautiful.
In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Turning now to other parts of our state, weeks after a devastating fire to Schooner's Landing and Marina, the staff and community are coming together. Allison Lapierre tells us how at this year's Schooner Festival.
Not just another bar, it's not just another marina. This is our family.
Thousands of people from all over are coming together alongside the Damariscotta River to celebrate Schooner Fest.
This is a show of the coming together of a community to support this institution, which has been here for many, many years.
Live music, raffles, boat rides, food trucks, endless drinks, and good times are just a few of the events happening here today.
It's a lot of music and a few beers, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
All the money raised from Schooner Fest will go to the 50 employees who lost their jobs earlier this month due to the restaurant burning to the ground. After the fire, Schooner Landing's owner, Scott Folsom, came up with Schooner Fest to not only raise money, but to create more memories from what was lost.
The memorabilia inside, 30 years of people bringing stuff to hang on my walls, and it's a real community gathering place, so a lot of people have emotional attachments to the place.
Restaurant co-owner says the outreach they are receiving is unbelievable.
I don't know what would have happened if Schooner Landing wasn't in this community and it was somewhere else, because it gives us a lot of hope for the future.
Folsom says he plans on rebuilding Schooner Landing bigger and better than ever, but he has not announced a timeline for those plans. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
And when we return from break, news from across the nation and around the globe. The latest on the search for suspects following an overnight mass shooting in Alabama. And Hezbollah launches an aerial attack on Israel. We'll be right back.
Comfy, cozy, relaxing. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find rockers, recliners, sofas, and easy chairs. Quality furniture, affordable prices. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
The last few years have been tough. Biden and Kamala's inflation is crushing working families, and Jared Golden is making things worse. In Washington, Jared Golden voted with Biden and Harris to raise taxes on middle-class families, and he supported their new energy tax that is driving up our heating costs. Biden and Harris changed Jared Golden. Now he's just another tax and spend politician who sells out Mainers.
Restoration PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Hey New England, Ford is building an F-150 just for you. Introducing the Ford F-150 New England Edition. With style to spare, max capability, plenty of smarts, and lots of swagger. F-Series are America's best-selling trucks for 47 straight years. And right now you can take advantage of a very special offer. Lease a Ford F-150 New England Edition for $269 a month for 36 months, only at your New England Ford dealers.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
At China Walk on Broadway in Bangor, we're serving up your Chinese favorites. Our food is delicious, our staff is friendly, and our service is fast. Open Tuesday through Sunday, call ahead, order online, or just stop by. Enjoy our indoor dining for the full experience, or get takeout that the whole family will enjoy. We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied. China Walk on Broadway in Bangor, where tradition meets flavor.
Durable, sturdy, stylish. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find solid wood, built to last, made in Maine dressers, bureaus, and nightstands. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
If you've been injured, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Welcome back. Turning now to the latest in national headlines. A manhunt underway in Birmingham, Alabama after a mass shooting late last night. The gunfire erupted in a popular nightlife district, killing at least 4 people and wounding 18 others. Fox News correspondent Madison Scarpino has more.
Police are still looking for multiple suspects who they say began shooting into a crowd of people who were just standing on the sidewalk. And we're learning that police believe the shooters were targeting one of the victims who died.
We believe the individual that was targeted is among the deceased. We believe that there was a hit, if you will, on that particular person, as far as, someone was willing to pay money to have that person killed.
The shooting happened Saturday night just after 11 p.m. in Birmingham's 5 Point South district, an area that's typically very busy on the weekends. Police say the suspected shooters drove up in a vehicle, started shooting, and fled the area. When police arrived, they found 2 men and a woman who died at the scene. Another man died at the hospital. 18 others were hurt, and some are still fighting for their lives. Birmingham police are working with the FBI and ATF to find the suspects and determine a motive. But they're really hoping the community can help and are offering an up to $5,000 reward for anyone with information that leads to an arrest. Police believe Glock switches were used in the shooting, which converts a normal handgun into a machine-style weapon. Birmingham's mayor is now calling to ban Glock switches and is asking state lawmakers for help.
There's a certain element in this community who are too comfortable riding around with semi-automatic weapons, automatic weapons, conversion switches, and everything else, whose only intent, hell-bent intent, is to harm people, shoot people, kill people.
The White House is also speaking out about the shooting. Its spokesperson says that they're tracking all the developments in this case and are praying for the victims killed and injured in this senseless act of gun violence. In Atlanta, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
In other news, the Middle East teeters on the brink of a larger escalation as Hezbollah launches more than 100 aerial attacks on Israel, and the IDF struck back in response. Fox News correspondent Mike Tobin has more from Tel Aviv.
After a week in which thousands of Hezbollah fighters were injured, top commanders were killed, Israel's chief of staff said if Hezbollah doesn't understand now, it'll get another blow until it does. With the rockets flying, we've got video of one of the rockets that made it through Israel's defenses and impacted in a small town near the port city of Haifa. Rocket barrages came at Israel all night long with the greatest intensity in the morning hours, and that was followed by attack drones entering Israeli airspace. In light of the rocket attacks, the Israeli Air Force increased attacks in southern Lebanon. The IDF says they hit some 400 rocket launchers aimed at Israel. Israel's president says the Jewish state is fighting for the free world. Israel's prime minister says the increased intensity will sustain until residents in the north can return home.
They haven't stopped for a single day attacking us. No country can accept the wanton rocketing of its cities. We can't accept it either. We will take whatever action is necessary to restore security and to bring our people safe back to their homes.
In Beirut, a funeral was held for a top Hezbollah commander, Ibrahim Akil. He was killed along with 15 Hezbollah operatives and approximately 21 civilians, according to the Lebanese health ministry, by an Israeli airstrike in a Beirut suburb. At that funeral, Hezbollah's Deputy Secretary General spoke and said they will continue to support Hamas in Gaza. Hezbollah is ready to face every military scenario, and the war has entered a new phase, an open-ended battle of reckoning. Israel's chief of staff says the IDF has many capabilities that have not yet been operated. In Tel Aviv, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
In other news, the investigation into the first assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump gaining new urgency after a second attempt on his life last weekend. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has the latest.
From the start, Secret Service and local police knew securing the rally site in Butler, Pennsylvania was going to be a challenge. They recognized that there was an unobstructed view of the stage, yet there was no follow-through to mitigate these concerns. Authorities were also worried about the position of a local tactical team, which was stationed on the second floor of the AGR building, but again, there was no follow-up with the Secret Service to move that team up on the roof. The suspect fired shots from that location. Acting Secret Service Director Ron Rowe says the agency should have given clearer instructions.
The Mission Assurance Review has identified deficiencies in the advanced planning and its implementation by Secret Service personnel. These employees will be held accountable, and this agency has among the most robust table of penalties in the entirety of the federal government.
Some local police also didn't realize that Secret Service had a separate communications center on site, and personnel on the ground overly relied on phones, not radio, which is typically used to send out information. So a lot of transmissions were missed, and the Secret Service wasn't fully aware of the search by state and local authorities to find the suspect. Congress is already taking action. On Friday, the House passed a bill to boost security for presidential and vice presidential candidates and give them the same level of Secret Service protection as sitting presidents.
How many more assassination attempts need to happen before we as an institution get serious about Secret Service protection?
The Secret Service says it's already increased protection for Trump, but lawmakers want it to be put into law. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Switching gears now, 44 days to go to the election. Both campaigns taking inventory of the electoral landscape as early voting kicks off in 3 states. Fox's Kevin Uretsky has more.
Former President Trump rallying Saturday in North Carolina, which is increasingly being considered a toss-up state in the November election. The Harris campaign season opening in the state as new scandals swirl around the GOP candidate for governor, Mark Robinson.
There has been incredibly exciting newfound energy for the Harris-Walz campaign here in North Carolina. She had 25,000 people at a rally a week ago. So she's got momentum.
Trump on Saturday avoided mentioning Robinson at all.
Trump won in 2016 and 2020 when the governor candidate lost both times.
I don't think this hurts Trump.
The latest Fox News polling shows Harris ahead by 2 points nationally, 50-48. Those numbers flip, though, when you look only at battleground states. There, Trump holds the advantage. Pollsters say that's a positive sign for the former president's chances in the Electoral College. Meanwhile, it's looking increasingly unlikely the two candidates will meet for a second debate before Election Day. The Harris campaign agreed to a debate on CNN, but Trump says it's too late for that. Early voting has already begun in South Dakota, Minnesota, and Virginia. Those who took advantage emphasizing the stakes of this election.
This is the most consequential vote in my lifetime, certainly in the new millennium. This is serious.
I think it's going to be a historical vote. I think it's going to be a historical turnout for Americans.
Vice President Harris attending a political event in New York Sunday. Trump heads to Pennsylvania on Monday. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Side of the break, more on what's happening across the country, the latest testimony details as a Coast Guard hearing is underway on the Titan submersible disaster, and why some Americans are delaying retirement and what the experts are saying about it. Stay with us.
I'm Carl Oberg, Chief of Police. I can always tell when somebody's lying to me.
Murder in a Small Town, series premiere this Tuesday on Fox.
Jared Golden promised that he'd protect our Second Amendment rights, but he hasn't followed through with that.
I don't know if the money's got to him or something's got to him, but not the same man anymore.
He threw us under the bus.
Jared Golden lied to us.
He now supports a ban on the most commonly held rifle in the U.S.
I don't have any faith in him.
He's fallen in line with the liberal agenda.
Golden even backed a gun registry.
He's a turncoat.
Just another vote for the gun-grabbing liberals.
And I voted for him the first time. I wouldn't trust him. I won't vote again for him.
The NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
Unwind with a massage. Let me take away the stress of everyday life and allow you to fully relax. I offer Swedish, deep tissue, and prenatal massage. Healing Strength Massage in Bangor is your place for relaxing therapeutic massage.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
What's the score of the game?
The new Hyundai Elantra with America's best warranty. There's joy in every journey. Lease a Hyundai Elantra for only $159 a month, or get 1.99% APR or up to $1,500 bonus cash. See your local Bangor Hyundai dealer.
Backed by popular demand, the Lucerne Inn in Dedham presents its amazing Sunday brunch. Join us every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for a culinary experience like no other. Indulge in an exquisite selection of dishes, all while enjoying breathtaking views. Seating is limited, so reservations are recommended, but walk-ins are always welcome. The Lucerne Inn Sunday Brunch, where great food meets a spectacular view. Call today to reserve your spot.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
Bangor Brewer bowling lanes on Wilson Street in Brewer, featuring 24 lanes of candlepin bowling and a big arcade room where kids can win great prizes. Glow bowling on Saturday nights from 7 until closing. Bring your entire family of fun entertainment for all ages.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
Welcome back. Cutting corners and ignoring safety, those are the trends that former employees described at OceanGate, the company that owned and operated the Titan submersible, which imploded in June of last year, killing everyone on board. Coast Guard hearings this weekend next, aiming to figure out exactly what went wrong and why. Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton has more.
An eye-opening week of testimony on what went wrong in last year's Titan submersible disaster. Witnesses painting a picture of warning signs that were ignored by the company's president, Stockton Rush, one of the 5 people killed when the sub imploded last June.
It was not safe diving in the Titan, and it was never supposed to be safe.
OceanGate staff testifying to a Coast Guard panel that Rush regularly bypassed safety precautions in the interest of getting the sub in the water as quickly as possible.
The desire to get to the Titanic as quickly as they could to start making profit.
There was a big push to get this done, and a lot of steps along the way were missed.
The submersible experienced multiple problems over the years. Just days before the sub failed, there were issues with its ballast, which kept the vessel stable. There were even cracks spotted in the hull. The lead engineer says it was so dangerous, he refused to get in himself.
They wanted me to be the pilot that runs the Titanic missions, and I told them I'm not getting in it.
He was one of multiple team members who were fired after bringing their concerns to Rush. The crew's final words before losing contact with the mothership, quote, "all good here." The mission specialist recalling her last interaction with the group before they got on board.
They were just very happy to go. And that's the memory I have.
The Coast Guard will listen to more testimony next week. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
Switching gears now, this year is often called a silver tsunami in the employment universe. That's because some seniors are creating waves of people going into retirement, but many other seniors say they're staying on the job. Fox's Oliviana Calmise talks to seniors who defer on their retirement plans and why.
Lots of adults are happy having a job if they like what they do and they're healthy. Others are switching gears to find a job that fits their lifestyle more. AARP says delaying retirement can be rewarding in the long run.
There's no reason to, really, if you're able to.
Carla Thorpe is in her mid-60s, part of a surge of adults entering retirement age this year. Over 4 million Americans will turn 65 each year through 2027. But that doesn't mean retirement is soon for many.
I can't even imagine my husband retiring, honestly. He still works 7 days a week.
She left her job at a college to work with him for less hours and is starting to plan for the future while they save.
You know, people talk about retiring and that you're going to travel and all that, but there's a lot of people that don't have the money to do that, or they're scared to do that, you know, just because they may outlive their savings, you know.
A spokesperson from AARP says that's why planning is so important and delaying retirement can help.
This gives you an opportunity to save more and to get your finances in order. Any amount of savings is better than no amount of saving.
Other older adults are taking a leap into retirement.
I feel good mentally about it, but I don't feel financially ready. We're going to take payments from my 401k to help make up for the difference in my monthly pay. I won't get to make up my bonuses, but that's okay.
AARP recommends evaluating spending and maximizing Social Security by working for at least 35 years and collecting spousal benefits.
Rather than having this deep worry, you actually have data, and now you can try to figure out how to use your resources to the best advantage.
John said if you can put off retiring until you're 70, you're getting an extra 24% or more when you add in Social Security's adjusted amount for inflation each year. In St. Louis, Missouri, Oliviana Calmise, Fox News.
All right, don't go anywhere. Chase Ropenaxon next with our extended forecast.
As we can see, for the last 4 days, we've been having over 50% cloud cover. Lots of clouds have been in the area. Are we going to see any sun anytime soon? Or are we going to still have to deal with that cloud cover out there? The answer's coming right up.
With his first vote in Congress. His very first vote, Austin Terrio will put leaders in power hell-bent on
taking healthcare away from working Mainers.
Letting insurance companies charge us more for health care.
Cutting Medicare and Social Security benefits that we earned.
Terrio skipped work. But he still took his paycheck from taxpayers.
I think it's criminal.
Highway robbery.
I'm against Austin Terrio because he's against working people.
No-show Terrio will never work for Maine. HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
When Magoon's Transportation and Energy in Osborne want to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Magoon's Transportation and Energy provides limited propane services to eastern and central Maine, including, but not limited to, tank recertification, cage accounts, cylinder exchanges, and more.
When CTI Service Center in Milford wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. CTI Service Center provides outstanding automotive and heavy-duty equipment repair, including tire sales, mount and balance, alignments, and diagnostics. CTI Service Center, simply the best.
Make this a summer to share in the 3-row Kia Sorento, the tech-forward Sportage, the available all-wheel drive Seltos, or the IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus Telluride. Each one recommended by Consumer Reports. This summer, visit your local Kia dealer. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of select new 2024 Sportage and 2024 Sorrento models.
The past few years have been challenging for law enforcement, but one thing we've never had to worry about is whether Jared Golden will watch our backs in Washington. Jared isn't afraid to stand up to his own party to keep Mainers safe, voting for billions of dollars for state and local law enforcement and to secure the border. Austin Terrio is something else. He voted against millions of dollars for the state police because the budget came from the other party. We need leaders who put public safety first, and that's Jared Golden.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
The stage is set.
What the heck is that? You guys are all missing the biggest clue.
The Masked Singer premieres Wednesday on Fox.
Let's take a look at those highs for today. Upper 60s, so definitely a little bit cooler out there with mostly cloudy skies. Showing that across the state today. Lots of areas in those upper 60s as well. We saw Bar Harbor right around the same temperature, closer to mid 60s in Rockland. We did see Augusta get up to 70 degrees today, so they are the winner. But other than that, a little bit off to the west in Greenville, low 60s, only 62 for them, and then saw right around those mid to upper 60s in the northern part of the state for today. Going into tonight, partly cloudy skies. Should have a little less cloud cover than we've been seeing the past few days. Could bring those lows down to the mid 40s for tonight. Probably going to be a little bit warmer, around 47, 48 degrees for us. And we see other areas near 50, showing that in Wesley and Deer Isle. Then we could see those low 40s in the western part of the state. So that is where those cooler temperatures will be for tonight. Continuing on into tomorrow, another cloudy day ahead. So it's showing those temperatures right around the mid 60s, showing a little bit warmer in Bangor, right around 67, 63 in Deer Isle, closer to the mid 60s in Wesley. And then we see those low 60s up north near Clayton Lake and in the western part of the state as well. So continuing on, take a look at the temperature trend. We're going to be in the 60s for quite a while. We can see it's going to even get a little bit cooler going into Thursday and Friday. That is when we have the next low pressure system coming, bringing lots of rain. Highs only right around 61 on Thursday, then 63 on Friday. It is going to rebound though. Saturday into Sunday, our weekend is looking nice with temperatures back in the low 70s. So humidity wise, we have pretty good dew points. We can see below 50 degrees for the next few days, so definitely very comfortable. A little bit of a spike in humidity after we get into Wednesday and Thursday with that low pressure system on its way, but should still be very comfortable out there. Should be like this throughout the rest of the season as well. Shouldn't be having to use the muggy meter graphic anytime soon after that. But let's take a look at the cloud cover history. Been very, very cloudy the past few days. As you take a look, since Wednesday, we've had more than 50% cloud cover, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, over 80% cloud cover. So lots of clouds in the area, and it doesn't look like they're going to be leaving anytime soon. So still got a little bit cloud cover over the state today. And then this system off to our west, that's going to be arriving Wednesday night into Thursday. It's going to be bringing more clouds into the area Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday. So definitely going to have to deal with a lot of cloud cover still. We can see for tonight, the clouds will clear a little bit, and then we go into Monday. That's when the whole state is going to be covered in clouds again, especially going into the evening. And then after that, it does get a little bit better Tuesday. We'll see by the going into Tuesday night, more going to be a little bit clearer out there. And then once we get into Wednesday, Thursday, though, more cloud cover is going to be on the way with that system approaching. For tonight, though, 47 degrees is our low, partly cloudy skies, and winds are going to be light and variable tonight with some fog in the early morning as well. And then a high of 65 degrees for tomorrow because we got mostly cloudy skies still. Winds from the northeast around 5 miles per hour. Taking a look at your extended forecast, looks like mid 60s is going to be the story throughout the next few days. Low 60s on Thursday with chances for rain across the state, and then a slight chance for lingering showers going into Friday with a high of 63 degrees.
All right, thanks, Chase. Stick around. Sports is coming up next with Jack Webb.
I lived and worked in Maine most of my life, and now I'm getting by on Social Security. People like me are struggling to heat the house in the winter. Energy prices are out of control, and it's devastating for seniors. But Jared Golden voted for Biden and Harris's tax that raises heating prices even higher. It's outrageous. The liberals changed Congressman Golden. He's leaving Mainers out in the cold.
Restoration Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home.
We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Van Sickle Kia, has the plug-in hybrid that takes you farther. Choose from an all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid Kia Sportage, Sorento, and plug-in hybrid Niro. You get all-electric power for shorter trips and gasoline hybrid flexibility for your longer drives. Go from Bangor to Providence in one trip. No stops needed. Whether it's your 20-minute commute to work or yearly road trip, Van Sickle Kia has the plug-in hybrid that gets you there at Van Sickle Kia. And best of all, every new Kia at Van Sickle comes with Kia's 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business.
The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. I'm Peter Van Sickle. I guarantee it.
Fall in love with your home again with Acclaim Replacement Windows from Renewal by Andersen. Do you have broken, drafty, or high-maintenance windows? We've got you covered. From consultation to installation, our Acclaim windows made with exclusive Fibrex composite material outperform traditional wood, aluminum, or vinyl. For reliable window and door replacement, choose Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window.
We are back on the floor.
The Floor premieres Wednesday after The Masked Singer on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. It's a University of Maine-filled show, and we'll start with Maine football as they travel down to Merrimack College looking to rebound after 2 straight losses. Let's get right into this one. Merrimack quickly went up 10-0 with a fumble recovery for a touchdown, then a field goal. But this catch here by Mo Efren on the sideline would get his team going. Just a massive catch with the defender essentially hanging right there on him, and that would set up a touchdown pass from Carter Peavy to Mason Gilbert right here. The bucket and the foul and one for Gilbert. What a catch over the defender. That would get the Black Bears on the board, and Merrimack would force a safety and score a field goal next. Just a chaotic first half for the Black Bears. But late in the second quarter, Merrimack trying to go up 2 scores. It's Devin Vaught with a massive interception to stop the Warriors' drive, keeping this one 15-6 at half. And beginning of the half, it's A.K. Alhaji Kamara snags an interception to put the Black Bear offense in plus territory. And shortly after that, Peavy rolls to his right, finds Cooper Heisey here all the way across the field. What a throw from Hash to the numbers as Heisey dives into the end zone there. And then a couple defensive stops by the Black Bears would set up this Joey Bryson field goal that would put the Black Bears up 16-15. Yet another forced punt would put Peavy in position to connect with Joey Gillette on the deep bomb. Number 2, I'm afraid you just got mossed, sir. That would put the Black Bears down the field, and this would set up a Tavion Banks touchdown run. And shortly after, a Joey Bryson field goal would ice the game for the Black Bears, and then it's Xavier Holmes right here with the sack. Black Hole ending the game as they started it. Just an outstanding effort. It was a season-changing second half from the Black Bears as they finished the game on a 26-5 run, finally settling in and playing some complimentary football. They'll travel to Albany next week. Maine and Merrimack must have some sort of deal going on because the Black Bear field hockey team also squared off with the Warriors Saturday in Orono. Just like the football team, they were looking to rebound after 2 losses in a row. Maine here working the ball down the field. Kate Richardson set up Mae Fogarty for the shot, but that right there is blocked. But Olivia Giannetti finds the juicy rebound to put the Black Bears on top 1-0. Shortly after, Zoe Ferber fires the ball right here towards the net. It pops up and Fogarty slaps it into the back of the net. We need to take another look at that one. Look at the instincts from Fogarty right here. The awareness to hit the ball over her shoulder as it's at eye level. That would put the Black Bears up 2-0. Maine would lead 3-0 at the half, and Poppy Lambert would put the cherry on top of this one, burying a penalty stroke top shelf as Maine would allow 0 shots on goal and win the game 6-0. It was also head coach Josette Babineau's 200th all-time win, one of only 50 active coaches in the country to reach that milestone. Here's what she had to say after the game.
Strength of the program, the consistency of the program. I came into a good program, and
I just feel fortunate that we've been able to have that consistency for the most part. Every season we have a competitive team, and just great players, always great people on and off the playing field. So it just makes me think about that and appreciate that.
It also happened to be Alumni Day for the Maine Field Hockey program as alum from all eras made their way to Orono. Here's what former captain Hannah Abbott had to say about her coach's 200th win.
It means so much. Coach has been with the program for so long. She really put Maine Field Hockey on the map. She does everything that she possibly can for her players, and as hearing her talk, all she does is give credit to her players, but she deserves a ton of credit.
Not just Coach's 200th win overall, her 200th win overall, and in the Black Bear uniform all in one place. That is special from Coach Babineau right there. We'll stay in Orono and check in with Maine hockey now as a couple former Black Bear goaltenders came back a few weeks ago at the Alfond. Jeremy Swayman and Victor Osman returned to Orono in late August to train and take a tour of the current construction on the Sean Wall Center. Osman is gearing up for Seattle Kraken training camp, and even though Swayman and the Bruins still haven't come to an agreement on a contract, he still took the time to train with Osman on the ice. Maine head coach Ben Barr says it was great having them back on campus and believes if they're doing anything right, more players will make visits like this in the future.
Hopefully more players come through here that end up playing at the highest levels like those guys, and that means that we're probably making our players better, and we're hopefully winning games, and that's what a healthy program in Hockey East is doing. So it's great that those guys come back and help us out. If we keep going, that'll happen more often, hopefully.
That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Comfy, cozy, relaxing. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find rockers, recliners, sofas, and easy chairs. Quality furniture, affordable prices. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
I'm a Republican.
I'm a Republican.
A Maine Republican.
Not one of those Washington Republicans like Mike Johnson.
They want to slash Social Security and Medicare.
And raise the retirement age to 70.
They handpicked Austin Theriault to run for Congress.
And they'll control him in Washington.
But Jared Golden works for us.
Jared will stand up to both parties to protect Maine seniors.
We can trust Jared. He fights for us.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
Maine's largest network of parts just got a little bigger. Coastal Auto Parts, newest location in Bangor, has all your automotive needs to get you to the moments that matter most. Whether you're a professional mechanic or just need a little help, find everything you need all under one roof. Our knowledgeable staff is here to assist you with friendly service and expert advice right here at 200 Sylvan Road, just off I-95. Drive in, stock up, and hit the road with confidence. Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
We've got a 100-year-old company here, and it's because of the service, the quality, and the experience. It gets done right.
I think we've been doing it for so long. The only thing that we do, that when we walk into a room, we automatically know how to treat that window. We can take any product that the customer's looking for and make it work in just about any situation that they present us with. So
there's no reason to be overwhelmed. No. We can help you through it.
We're not going anywhere. We've been around for 100 years.
At China Walk on Broadway in Bangor, we're serving up your Chinese favorites. Our food is delicious, our staff is friendly, and our service is fast. Open Tuesday through Sunday, call ahead, order online, or just stop by. Enjoy our indoor dining for the full experience, or get takeout that the whole family will enjoy. We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied. China Walk on Broadway in Bangor, where tradition meets flavor.
Durable, sturdy, stylish. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find solid wood, built to last, made in Maine dressers, bureaus, and nightstands. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
Preheat your ovens and your brains.
Crime Scene Kitchen is back with all new baking mysteries. Season premiere Thursday, September 26th on Fox.
Back in, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us. A Virginia woman has set a new fastest known time for hiking the entirety of the Appalachian Trail. According to a Facebook post Sunday, hiker Tara Dower completed the trail last night with a final time clocking in at 40 days. The Appalachian Trail's northernmost point is, of course, here in Maine at Mount Katahdin and stretches more than 2,100 miles to Springer Mountain in Georgia. According to the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, it takes the average hiker between 5 and 7 months to make the same trek. Congratulations on that accomplishment. Certainly very impressive there. In other news, a farmer in Canaan who sells his produce for charity has some help from a Masonic youth group this year. Our Callie Warren takes us to Ring Family Farm.
Some of these kids have never been out in a pumpkin patch. They find out that pumpkins are not just pretty, they're heavy.
These young men are DMLA members, a Masonic organization for teens and young adults. They're spending their Sunday picking hundreds of pumpkins for a cause.
It's definitely an interesting experience picking the pumpkins for the first time. It's definitely showing a lot more that I can do with my life instead of sitting home playing video games or something.
These kids are doing a whole lot more than just getting their hands dirty. They're helping one local farmer give back to the community. Danny Ring is the owner of Ring Family Farm, and he's been donating his profits to the Make-A-Wish Foundation since 2010, totaling over $180,000.
We do this year round for Make-A-Wish, so we do sleigh rides in the winter, we try to. This year we're going to do a festival of trees also. It's all for Make-A-Wish. You got to give back, we have to.
Actually, this is the first year Dan's asked for help. Dan's always done this all on his own, but he's had some health problems over the last year or so. And so he reached out for some help, and fortunately, he asked us DMLA to do it.
Volunteers came from all over the state to help out.
We've got kids from all over. The DMLA is related to Mason, so they're not necessarily farm kids, but they could be. They might be from the city, they might be from the country, but they're all out here today working together to accomplish a goal for a good cause.
In Canaan, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Ring Family Farm will host more events to support Make-A-Wish this fall and winter. Visit our website to learn more. In other news, a local 11-year-old raised over $500 for the Bangor Humane Society on Saturday. Don Venziano is the Humane Society's youngest volunteer, and he's been helping out there since the age of 8. His annual Whoopies for Whiskers bake sale typically sells out, but this year he did it twice. And he says he does it all for local animals in need.
There are always animals in need, and not every animal gets the chance to have a forever loving home. So the animals need that here, and just try and do your best and give them all you can while they're here.
Saturday's fall-themed sale featured apple cider and pumpkin whoopie pies. Don says he plans to do more fall bake sales in the coming years. Great cause there, great effort. Well, that is all for tonight on Fox 22. Join us again tomorrow for the latest in local news. Good night.
I'm a 6th grade teacher working full-time while raising my own kids. 4 years ago, we were getting ahead, but under Kamala Harris and Jared Golden, we're drowning. Food prices, energy bills, everything costs more today. Jared Golden voted to raise taxes on middle-class families. He even supported Biden and Harris's new energy tax that increased our heating costs. Biden and Kamala changed Jared Golden. He's not on our side anymore.
Restoration PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
If you've been injured in an accident, get Maine's most recognized personal injury law firm working for you today. The law offices of Joe Bornstein, fighting and winning for injured Mainers for nearly 50 years. Selected best lawyers in America for personal injury. Recognized for professional excellence. With more than $500 million collected for injured Mainers and over 25,000 victories for Maine families. Call Joe for a free case evaluation and get the Bornstein Advantage.
The KG in Medway and Millinocket, your place for pizza, where our dough is hand-stretched. Did you say meats? All cut, fresh in Medway. Famous KG subs, to-go meals, homemade desserts, and we serve Carabasset coffee. The KG, much more than just a store.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
Bangor Brewer bowling lanes on Wilson Street in Brewer, featuring 24 lanes of candlepin bowling and a big arcade room where kids can win great prizes. Glow bowling on Saturday nights from 7 until closing. Bring your entire family of fun entertainment for all ages.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
When My Mechanic Company wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. My Mechanic Company, located in Carmel, is your go-to for auto repair. Whether you need brakes, tires, diagnostics, or a state inspection, My Mechanic has you covered. Come see why My Mechanic should be your mechanic.
4 cadets with the Waterville Composite Squadron Civil Air Patrol were just promoted. We'll take you to the ceremony. Monday on Fox 22, News at 10.
You're watching Fox 22 Bangor.